Hi friends, it's Dana here today and we are sewing today the Good Luck cardigan. This is just a cardigan that has the flutter sleeves and you have the option to make non-fluttered, 1, 2, or 3 stacked flutters. I guess I'm calling them flutters, but it's probably just ruffles, ruffled bands, arm cuff thingies. So yes, it's pretty cool. So yeah, so we're gonna get started, but before I do, let me remind you about our Fun Fan giveaway of $50 Ellie and Matt gift certificate. We give $50 every month for patterns, and all you have to do is subscribe to our channel and comment below and you will be entered for our giveaway. So yay, that's exciting. Let's go ahead and get started. Once again, I'm making the Good Luck cardigan from Ellie and Mac, and I already cut out all my pieces and gotten ready. And let me tell you this morning as I was getting ready for this pattern, I had cut out this fabric because I love this fabric and I love the color, and this is a rayon spandex, so it's really thin, which is fine because it doesn't really get super cold here in Georgia, and there's days you just need a light cardigan on. So I had cut it all out, and then I go to like set up my machine and I don't have enough thread of this color. I'm like, but what I do sometimes is that if it's a really random color, I will buy one spool, like one of those big things, of said color. I mean, I have a bunch of grays because grays are very, neutral color, but so I'll buy one of some crazy funky color. So I had the one, and then what I did is I made myself with bobbins. I threaded a bunch of like the 3 other bobbins so I could have enough to do my serger. And then what I'll do is I will do all my construction, and then I'll do all my hemming, and I'll use the same thread to do my hemming. I know it's a little bit of work, but I don't want to spend a ton of money on all kinds of different cones of fabric that I'm not even gonna use very much, because I mean, how often do you sew with certain different colors? I mean, if there's a color you love, a color you sew with all the time, that's different. But it's not a color I sew all the time. So I have the neutrals that I usually pair with every color, or black or white, and like a beige taupe color and gray. But with this one, I guess I could have gone with gray, but I'm like, oh, well, I have this color that's really, really close to it. And what I'll do is I just filled up some bobbins, and I put them in my machine, and I use one of these things to put it on top, so kind of help keep it down so it doesn't fly off, and it works perfectly. So there's a little tip for you. If you don't have the perfect color, don't go buying a whole bunch of them for just one project. Just buy one and then use your bobbins. That's what I do. So yeah, I don't know. You might not like doing that. It's up to you, but I just figure I'll let you know about what I do, because that's what I do. All right, so I'm gonna get started. I am using a rayon spandex, like I said, so it's a very thin material. Actually, it's not horrible to work with. It's easy to work with, but it does get a little bit slippery, so you have to be careful you pin correctly and you don't let it just slide, because it will slide, and sometimes it will slide down, and when you're sewing it, you'll have like a gap if you don't make sure that it's all even, okay? So, but other than that, that's it. All right, this is my back, and I'm gonna put a face up on my board. This is my right side, and here's my armpit area. I know I'm saying a lot today, and I just noticed that. Okay, so I'm gonna grab one of my fronts, and I want to make sure you see how one side goes kind of on a straight, deep line, and then the other side has a soupity soup. That is your armpit right here, your arm side. So we're gonna put that side where your armpit is supposed to be, and this is right sides together. This is why I'm bringing it to this side, because this is the wrong side, so the right sides are touching, because you can kind of see the difference in color. What is funny is me looking at it, the wrong side looks darker than the right side, but then when I look at it on the video, that looks lighter than that. It's so funny. The things that the lighting does. So right sides together, and we're gonna meet at the shoulders. I know some people like to work with rayon spandex and some people don't. Like I said, rayon spandex is a lot thinner than like that double brush poly or cotton lycra. The one thing that I love about rayon spandex is the feel. It's cooler than double brush poly. It's thin and drapey, so it drapes really nicely. So I love it for cardigans. I actually really like it for dresses. But I've heard a lot of people, and I've noticed that too, I would never make a fitting garment with it. I mean, dresses like drapey dresses, I would make with it. But like something that's more fitted, I won't, because it's so thin, it'll show everything. I stay away from using it on like tighter fitting tops. Unless you like that, you like the thin tops, that's fine. But I'm just saying, I usually, I do have one, and then sometimes I wear it with like an undershirt just because I don't like everything being really tight against my body. But it is a really nice fabric. It's got great stretch, but it's got really good recovery too. It doesn't just stretch out like some knits do. All right, we're gonna go ahead and sew those shoulders. I am using my serger, but you can obviously use your sewing machine. You just need to use a stretch stitch on your sewing machine. And I always say you want to grab a piece of your fabric and try out different stretch stitches to see which one works best with your fabric that you're using. Because all fabric is not created equal. There are all different types of fabrics that you will be able to use different stitches for. And sometimes some fabrics the sewing machine doesn't like very much, so it tries to eat it. So you have to use different kind of stitches for that. But mostly whenever I use my sewing machine, I mostly just use a nice zigzag stitch. I actually make it a little bit bigger than what it comes on the settings on my machine, just because I like a wider zigzag stitch. I feel like it doesn't eat it up as much. Also, using a ballpoint needle, something that like will help because it won't catch on the threads as much. So ballpoint needle will help. And then don't go so close to the edge that your machine starts eating your fabric. Okay, I'm just steaming those seams down. All right, and now we're gonna go ahead and put on sleeves. Whoosh. Okay, so I'm opening my arm side. This is my arm right here. My neck is right here on this side. I'm grabbing one of my sleeves, and it's already folded in half because I cut it on the fold. I'm gonna cut a little notch, just a little mark to mark where my top of my sleeve is. You don't have to cut it. If you don't want to, you can just pin it. You can just mark it however you want to mark it. Now I'm going to go ahead and see that point at the top. I'm going to put it right at the shoulder seam. That's going to be my top of my sleeve cap. And then we're going to go down the side, right sides together. And so, you know, the other day I was sewing something and I was using the wrong side of the fabric, and it was so hard because I was like, I'm so used to like always telling y'all right sides together, let's do this right sides together, and then I'm doing it like with the wrong side because I'm doing the wrong side of the fabric. And honestly, I had to unpick. I sewed and then I had to unpick because I realized I'm using the right side of the fabric because I'm so used to it now, you know, like, oh, I gotta use the right side of the fabric, gotta use the right side of the fabric. Anyway, okay, so we're gonna go ahead and sew that together. As you can tell, it's right at the raw edge and it kind of curves around. That is the great thing about knits, that because they're stretchy, you can do that. You can work on the round at the sleeve and then just kind of go around, and it does a little give. Now, remember when you're sewing it on, make sure their edges are flush together. You're matching the raw edges together so that you don't have a gap in your sleeve, in your hem, in your seam. Couldn't think of the word. Seam. And so I always kind of take it slowly and look. Especially I'm taking it slowly with this fabric, double brush poly or a cotton lycra. It's easier in that sense that it doesn't really move very much away from its the other side of the fabric, so you can kind of be a little bit faster with it. With this fabric, I want to make sure that I have it together, because I don't want it to slink off on me and then I look back and I have a hole. Always make sure, look at your seams and make sure that they are all there, that you caught everything. You don't want to put your dress on, your cardigan on later and find out that you have a gap on your sleeve. And honestly, I still have gaps on my sleeve all the time because I sometimes don't check myself. I tell y'all, check yourself, and then I rush and I do it. I actually do best when I am on camera, even though I know that there's some videos out there where I made a mistake, because, you know, sometimes I forget to tell you. But because the reason why I do better on camera sometimes is because I am telling you to do it. So I'm like, oh yeah, do it. Because you're telling them to do it, you should do it. And then I do it. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and put it right sides together. And so first at the armpit and go down and up. Now listen. I am doing this, you're watching me do it to this side of my cardigan, but I'm going to do the same exact thing to the other side. I'm going to attach that sleeve, and I am going to attach that side in just a minute as well. I'll probably do it as soon as, do it off camera, so that way you don't have to watch me do the whole thing over again. I don't really know, give me some feedback. Do you watch me sew the whole thing, or do you sew along with me as I'm sewing it? How do you do it? I actually, it's pretty funny. I've gone back, instead of going to my laptop and downloading my pattern over again when I'm going to make it again, the instructions, if I forget what the instructions are, because, you know, I sew a lot of patterns and I want to sew them correctly, and sometimes I can't remember the instructions, especially if it's something like the kids polo or the like a hoodie or something like that, and I'm like, oh, I can't exactly remember what the steps are. I actually go and watch myself on YouTube, and then I think it's the funniest thing, because I know it's kind of silly, but I race myself. I'm like watching me and I'm like, yeah, like I'm gonna win. And then even though I do some things off camera, I'm like, I'm gonna catch up to you, you know, like, I don't know. Do you do that? Is that what you do? Do you race with me as you're doing it? Anyway, so just let me know. Okay, so now I'm gonna go ahead and sew that side all the way up. And like I said, I'm going to go do those steps on my other side as well. And then we'll move on to do our sleeve, our ruffled sleeve, and we will be pretty much done. Alrighty, it has been sewn together. All right, so now that my cardigan has got some shape to it, we're gonna go ahead and do our, get our ruffles on. Here it is. I'm gonna put it to the side. I'm gonna grab my ruffles, which I have all the way over here. Ruffle, connector. This is my neckband. Don't need my neckband yet. Okay, so I am doing 2 ruffles, so I only need 1 connector. If you're doing 3 ruffles, you will need 3 connectors, because you're gonna have to connect them all together. But I'm only doing 2, so I don't have to. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab my ruffles. I'm gonna put it right side together. Come on. Right sides together. I have the short edge right here. And I am going to sew them together. I'm gonna go ahead and do that for the ruffles and for the connector right now, because that way I get that out of the way, sewing them together, right sides together. This one's already folded right sides together, so good. Sewing it, and then the connector, same thing. And obviously you're gonna do this for the other sleeve as well. I'm just doing this one sleeve at a time. I'm showing you one sleeve, that way I don't have to show you, sit here and show you both. I'm only showing you one. The other one's already made. all right. Okay, one ruffle and another ruffle. Okay. After you're done, you can go ahead and hold on one second, my little thing got stuck right here. Okay, you can go ahead and hem your ruffle, but I am not hemming my ruffle because I don't want to change my thread that I already made over there. So I might either hem it at the end or leave it raw, which I am working with knit, so you can leave it raw. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and gather the sleeve, the ruffle, the width of the connector. So I'm gonna use a long straight stitch, a basting stitch on my sewing machine to ruffle this sleeve cuff thingy, the ruffle the ruffle. I am using just a long basting stitch, and I am actually just holding the tension on my thread just to make it ruffle a little bit, help me out. You don't have to do that if you don't want. You can use just straight stitch and go all the way around, or you can use your preferred method of gathering. There are other methods of gathering, and I have shown some of those other methods on here. But sometimes when it's something this small, I just do the straight this kind of method because it just makes it easier to me. I think it's quick and painless. So I just do it this way. But if it's something that I'm gonna have a lot of ruffles, I'll do it on my serger. Like if it's a dress with a ton of ruffles. Like the Be Curious or the Take Me to Tea, I think it is, or the Playful Tunic, I think it is. Those all have a ton of ruffles, which I love. But I don't really want to sit here and ruffle every single one like this, so I'll do it on a serger. I'll say the only thing that I don't like about ruffling like this for such a long ruffle is really the thing that scares me is that sometimes the thread will pop, and then I'll like have ruffled everything and then my thread will pop and I'm like, no! So then you have to do it again. So that's why I don't usually do this method when I am doing a long ruffle, but this is just a little ruffle, so it's okay. So I am just pulling it, gathering a little bit more to make it the width of the sleeve of the connector. And actually this is such a good, like you're gonna gather it so much that it's actually pretty easy to get the gathers even, because it's like you're just gathering until they're really tight, honestly. So there is my one gather, and now I tied off the end so that it doesn't come apart while I'm trying to fix it, even it out. So like I just tied on the two threads where I start and where I end. And then I'm just gonna cut them off with my teeth because I am a savage. And my scissors are too far away. Actually, I don't even know where my scissors are. Are they behind me? Yeah, they're behind me. So I don't want to reach behind me and do all that when I've got perfectly good cutting teeth. Actually, the dentist told me that I have like 50-year-old teeth because I grind my teeth. And you know, I don't realize I grind my teeth. Mostly what happens is I clench my jaw. I don't think the dentist knows what he's talking about. I think he's talking about me clenching my jaw, not grinding my teeth. My sister grinds her teeth at nighttime. When we were young, we shared a room for a little while, which I hated. Not because I don't love my sister now. No. She is super messy. And if she's watching this, she will agree. She is so messy. She's way better now that she's an adult, but she used to be so messy. I'll use my scissors because, you know, some people might be like, that's just gross. Yeah, it's a little bit gross. Anyway, she used to be so messy, and I wasn't super messy as a teenager. I mean, I am a messy person. Like, I am artistic, so I make a mess when I'm doing some art stuff, but usually I always tend to clean up, and my room is not like overly messy. So it never was like overly messy, but when we share rooms, it was like, please pick up your mess. It's everywhere. And so I even did the, like, you know how you like tape the middle of your room and this is your side, this is my side thing. Didn't work. We just would always get into it. Plus it didn't help that she's 7 years younger than I am. So we were at different stages of our lives at different times. So it was hard. You know, like, not like it was so hard, oh my gosh, our life was miserable. No, but it was just, we were constantly at each other. But now we are the best of friends. She's my best friend. So, yeah, it's probably only because she's got my little niece. And so I have to be friends with her so I can watch my little niece every once in a while. So I'm just kidding. We are good friends. Okay. Now that this is gathered, we're going to flip it inside out. And if you want to, you can quarter, and so you can see, or half, so you can see where it's supposed to be. But because you're just gathering it the width of the cuff, it doesn't really matter. I didn't mark it. I'm just going around the edge and I'm fitting this connector inside. So, because I want right side of the connector to the right side of the gathers. So I'm just meeting that raw edge of the connector and the gathers, and you want to make sure that you're catching just the edge of the connector, because sometimes it'll try to bunch up, especially with this fabric I'm using. It'll try to bunch up and get cut all weird, and you don't want that. Also, when you're sewing this on, make sure your ruffles are sticking up and they're not like bunching up and getting cut underneath it, because they'll all like do this little thing where they all just kind of want to jam in, and you're like, no, stop it. And they're like, yeah, we want to. And then you get mad and you pull it out of your serger without pulling your serger foot off, because you're just mad, and then you ruin your whole thing, and then you gotta start all over again. And trust me, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Okay, so as you can see, it's all at the edge, at the raw edge of that connector, and it's the right side of the connector touching the right side of the ruffles. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and sew this part. You sew on. So like I said, because it's so gathered, it's pretty easy to get them even. I haven't had an issue with it not being even. Again, I'm using this really, really drapey fabric, so that also helps a lot. So for this, I love this fabric. Okay, listen. When you're sewing the ruffles on, I like to have the ruffles up so I can see how they're behaving. Usually sometimes, I use my big sewing machine tweezers, and if I need to stop and pull a ruffle up, I use those to make my ruffles go up. So I just keep an eye on it. Okay, and then I go all the way around and sew them on, making sure nothing else gets caught underneath it. So you want to make sure you pull everything else out from underneath as you're going to sew them. Okay, so let's sew those on. All right. Now, when you're done, make sure that you cut all the ruffles. Then you're gonna flip it, and there they are. Okay. You can go ahead and pull that basting stitch off so that they will go down and look even. And then you can go ahead and steam them down. Did I? Yeah, I did. If you wanted to hem it, you would have hemmed it already. Or you can hem it now. It really is up to you. It doesn't matter. When you're gonna steam them, I usually like to steam it inside out. That way my band is facing the same way. All of them are facing the same way. It gives it a little bit of a better steam. Okay. So now that's done. I'll finish fixing that afterwards. I'm gonna grab my other ruffle. And this other ruffle is gonna go right, see that raw edge of the connector, right side out? I'm going to put this ruffle right on top. So the wrong side of this ruffle is touching the right side of this connector, the second ruffle. Now, if you're doing 3 ruffles, like I said, you will do this step again to another ruffle. You'll attach another connector to it. You'll attach a ruffle to the connector, and then you'll attach that to the sleeve. But this one, since I'm only doing 2, I'm just going to, this one goes straight to the connector. The wrong side of the ruffle touching the right side of the connector. And now, and then we're gonna pin them all the way around, and we're just going to baste this on because you don't want double thick lines of connector to ruffle to sleeve. Connector to ruffle to sleeve, because this is gonna be attached. This is where the sleeve is gonna be attached to. So you don't wanna really like 2 seams right here. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and baste this on. Basting stitch again is just a very long straight stitch on your sewing machine to give it, like, to hold it together. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and baste stitch that on. Baste stitch that on. Make sure your ruffles are still sticking out. Make sure you're pulling everything out of the way as you're basting this on. All right. So now that that is on, basted on, as you can see, I'm gonna grab my sleeve of my my sleeve, and I'm gonna fit it right into, so this is my cuff. I'm gonna turn the cuff inside out, and I'm gonna put my sleeve right in there. So you see how that's inside out in there. And I'm gonna match up those seams, and I'm gonna match up, so it's the right side of the ruffle to the right side of the sleeve. So the ruffle to sleeve. So it's sandwiched between ruffle, sleeve, and connector. And the ruffle that's sandwiched here is the ruffle you just attached. So the basting stitch, you should be able to see that basting stitch right here as you're attaching it to the sleeve. And you're sandwiching it. I'm going to show you in just a minute. In just a minute. Un momento. Make sure your fabric is not folded. This fabric is a little folded right there. There we go. Okay. So as you can see, it's sandwiched. In there is the ruffle, connector on the outside, ruffle, and sleeve on the inside, because I tucked my sleeve in. And we're going to go ahead and serge that on. Serge it on, making sure you move everything else out of the way. You don't want to get anything cut in there in that, other than your ruffle, your connector, and your sleeve. And we're going to sew all the way around. Alrighty-o. Okay, so make sure it's all caught. Then you're gonna turn it, and there it is, your ruffled sleeve. I have to take this basting stitch off, but we're almost done. Cute, huh? Yes. Now we do our neckband. So I'm gonna grab my neckband. I've got 2 long ones and 1 short one, which is my back. So I'm gonna grab them and I'm gonna put them together right sides. So here's my long one, 1 long one, 1 short one. Right sides together at the raw short edge. Let me sew that one together, and then we'll sew the other one. Alrighty, make sure my iron is on because it tends to turn off. Then I'm gonna open it up again, the short one, the other edge of the short one. I'm gonna put the other one on. Right sides together. Right sides together. All right, Now that they're on, I'm going to steam them wrong sides together. Steam it wrong sides together all the way down. All the way down. And this is when this is kind of hard with this fabric because it's so like slippery. So I might, but the good thing is that it steams really nicely. So that's good. So it'll have a good crease. A good crease. Goody good crease. Okay. Now here's that half crease right here. That half neckband, that short neckband. And then we're gonna continue down. We're almost done. Honestly, this is the last step before we hem, and that's it. Well, this, not steaming is not the last step. Sewing the band on is the last step. And then hemming, and we'll be done. All right, so we're gonna grab our back, and I'm going to find my middle half of my back by grabbing those shoulders together, going to the back. Here's my back, I'm gonna mark it. I notch it, you can notch it or do just pin it. And then I'm gonna do the same thing to my neckband, just my back neckband where my two seams are. We're gonna meet those two seams, we're gonna go to the back. The only thing you're gonna be stretching is this back neckband. The rest of it should fit just right. So we're gonna find this middle right here, pin it, and then we're gonna stretch one side to the seam, stretch, and then we're gonna stretch the other side to the seam, stretch, okay, and then we're gonna go down that each side, down the both sides. Come on, down one side, and you're just pinning nicely all the way down, all the way down the cardigan, the front side, aligning those raw edges to the right side of your fabric of the cardigan. I know that's always kind of confusing when I was a new person, at sewing. When I was a new person, when I was new at sewing, I always got confused by attaching it to the right side. Like, why do you attach it to the right side? Because then we're gonna sew it and flip it. Okay. And mine right here has a tiny bit left, and I don't know if I cut it too long or if it just has the extra, which is fine with me because then when I'm done, I'll just cut that little piece off. I'd rather have a little bit extra than not enough and then be like, ah! But sometimes when this fabric, the hardest thing about this fabric is cutting it because it likes to catch under itself and stuff like that. So it can be a little bit of a pain to cut. You have to make sure that you open it up, and sometimes you even have to make, like, maybe even iron it so that the creases are all gone. Yes, that's the one really good thing about double brush follow or even French terry, which what I'm wearing today is an undercover hoodie made out of French terry. Isn't it so cute, this undercover? It is so cute. I love this gathered like casing at the bottom. I love it. I have to make me some more. I honestly, to be honest with you, I am not a hoodie person. I don't wear hoodies very much. The only time I wear hoodies is like around the house if I want to be comfortable. But I don't know why I really don't wear hoodies very much. So I feel like dressy hoodies go wasted on me because I don't usually wear hoodies out. But this is so cute that I do wear this one out. So I'm like, I need to make some more so I can wear them out. All right, I'm gonna go all the way around and just sew that band on. As easy as that. See, I probably cut it too long because this one fits just perfectly, so it was my fault. But I'll just trim that at the edge over there. I'm gonna go ahead and sew this on, and we're basically done. Remember, when you get to the back of the neckline, you're going to stretch it so to fit. You stretch the back of that neckband to fit that back. And then you continue on. Alrighty. Okay, this is the piece right here that I kind of went a little bit over. I'm gonna cut it off because I don't need it. Some of this. Okay, now I'm gonna open it up and steam it. Open it up and steam it. And you want to make sure you steam your seams all going the right way, the same way. And I'm gonna steam them all going in to my cardigan. Okay, and then after you steam your seams in, ow! I just pinned myself. Make sure you remove all the pins. Then we're gonna go ahead and go at the bottom. Ooh, I'm like tingling all over. That hurt. Especially when you're not expecting it. Well, are you ever really expecting a pin to get you? Where is it? I don't want it to bleed on my cardigan. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and hem. We're gonna hem a 1/2 inch up. Like I said, I'm not set up to hem right now. So I'm gonna be doing the hem later, but we're gonna hem a 1/2 inch up all the way around. And we are done with our cardigan. How cute is this thing? Do you love it? I can't put it on right now because it won't fit over my sweater. It looks kind of funky, but you can kind of see it right there. Yes, I love it. I hope you enjoyed this sewing tutorial. I hope you like your Good Luck cardigan. Please show it to me on our Facebook or Instagram page. If you're not a part of that, you need to come join us. We want to see what you're making and we want you to see what we're making so you can get inspired by all these awesome people sewing. I hope you have a good rest of your day. Please comment, like, share, subscribe if you haven't, comment below so you can get entered to our Fun Fan giveaway. I hope you have a good rest of your day and I'll see y'all next time.